The unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect truth is seldom met with, even in 100,000 myriad kalpas. Now we can see and hear it. We can remember and accept it. I vow to make the Buddha's truth one with myself. Homage to the Buddha, homage to the Dharma, homage to the Sangha. So, hello to everyone. My name's Reverend Amanda, if you don't know me, and I'm going to talk about the 3 refuges. And here we are, we finished a ceremony for Avalokiteshvara, who is the Bodhisattva of compassion, and she's going to be part of this talk, but not the main topic of the part, but a very essential part. She's the prover of the refuge. And you'll understand what I mean by that later when I'm giving the talk. Or I am giving the talk, but you know what I mean. So anyway, when we first begin in Buddhism, we often take the 3 refuges if we wish to become a Buddhist. And they are, I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. In some traditions, that's all you need to say, and you can consider yourself a Buddhist. In our tradition, that's probably, no, we don't tell people they can't or can't consider themselves Buddhists, but we do a ceremony, a week-long ceremony in March, Jiyu-Kennett it's called, and it's the taking of the precepts. And by the way, the 3 refuges are part of the precepts, and I will explain that a little bit. Now, I looked up the word refuge, and refuge means safety, place of safety, security, a haven. And the Cambridge Dictionary defines it as a place that gives protection or shelter from danger, trouble, unhappiness. So that's a nice way to think of this, the 3 refuges. They are for us, they are there for us when we have difficulties, when we are hurting. There's a place we can go to. And that's a visceral thing. We feel it in our whole being, and it's very important. And it's also very simple. And to some extent, the 3 refuges they're just a simple little, I take refuge in the Buddha, refuge in the Dharma, refuge in the Sangha. And yet they're quite profound. They're also called, in Buddhism everything has many names and many numbers, and they're called the 3 treasures, the 3 jewels, the 3 homages, and all of those names indicate how important and respected these 3 things are. Reverend Master Jiyu used to say, we come to Buddhism on the me side. We start training because we are hurting, we want something, we are frightened. There's the me. And that's fine. That's what brings us to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. But safety and shelter is certainly a thing that I think our whole world longs for in a strange way, because sometimes people do the exact opposite, but they're seeking somehow to be okay, to have a place of safety. Now, I should say that I am going to define who the Buddha and Dharma and Sangha is, so just give me a minute. I tend to talk a lot. And as I said, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha starts simple, but as we begin to train, it goes deeper. And part of that deepness is the realization, not only do I wish to have safety and shelter, but who doesn't? And then it starts from there. It starts expanding and going out, and it opens us to that. So I should take a moment and just say that the Buddha can represent Shakyamuni Buddha. I'll give you the simplest, and then I'm going to go a little more in a few minutes. And so the Buddha represents Shakyamuni Buddha, who was a human being, like us, was a human being, sought the truth of how to prevent the suffering of old age and death, which he saw, and shocked him that this is what was happening in life. And so he went and studied, left home, and became a monk and a mendicant, and he had a full enlightenment experience and then taught for the rest of his life, 40 years of his life after that. And so it's a human being on the very, very simplest level. The Buddha is someone who is awakened, and that's a human being, and that's us. We can awaken. It's available for all of us. And the Dharma is what the Buddha taught in its simplest level, and it's his teaching, and it's quite profound and vast, and you'll see if you study it, as you have been studying it for many of us, it goes on, and there's no way we can ever reach the end of it in a way. So, and then the Sangha is us. We're all the Sangha. The whole world is our Sangha in one sense, but in its simplest form, it is the trainees, those who follow the Buddha's teaching. And we, when you think about it, we're giving shelter to each other. We're helping each other. And there's something really beautiful and profound about that. Now, there's many ways to take this refuge, many ways to recite it. We have a number of scriptures we sing. They often end with the 3 homages or the 3 refuges. When we take the precepts, we recite them. When, on a practical level, when I'm falling asleep sometimes, especially, if I see my mind is still agitated, then I'll start saying the refuges over and over again, and that helps calm the mind and settle the body. And we can do it when we wake up. Just start your day with, it's actually better than coffee, but at the 3 refuges. I'm going to get in trouble here. And anyway, the point is, if I have a song that's running in my mind and I can't get rid of it, I'll start saying the 3 refuges, and it helps. It just grounds me, brings me back to this present moment. This present moment is where the 3 refuges are. So, and when we see our actions, if we do something that was unskillful, it's often very helpful to say to ourselves the 3 refuges. Oh, because they are the beginning of the distillation of our acceptance of having done something unskillfully or harmfully. So they're really helpful that way. Now, what started this whole Dharma talk for me was I read a book. I'm reading a book, actually. I'm rereading it. I'm on my 2nd reading of it. I love it. And it's called The Heart of Compassion, the 37 Verses of the Practice of a Bodhisattva. And bodhisattvas, by the way, are enlightened beings. We did these scriptures for Kanzio, and she's one of the bodhisattvas. She's the bodhisattva of compassion. There's a bodhisattva of wisdom, Manjushri. There's a bodhisattva of practice, Samantabhadra. There's a bodhisattva of great vows, which is Jizo. So there's lots of bodhisattvas, lots of beings to call on and to help. Anyway, the book is a commentary by Dilgo Khyentse, and in it he said, "Entrust your heart-mind to the 3 jewels, like throwing a stone into deep water. Well, that was a real helpful statement to me. Whoa, I thought, yes. You think of the 3 jewels, you think of the 3 refuges, there's something very simple, you just say it, it's no big deal. But it's like throwing a stone into a very deep pool. And it really resonated with me. So this talk is really an exploration of that deep pool. And it's a beginning of what happens from my reflection of training for many, many years. So, as I said, the first definition of the Buddha refuge is Shakyamuni Buddha. But it starts expanding as soon as you keep going or hear Dharma talks or whatever, you'll hear people talking about the cosmic Buddha or the universal consciousness, all the Buddhas in all worlds. This isn't the only world in Buddhism. This isn't the only, we don't have the only Buddha. There are millions of worlds and billions unable to gather in our minds numbers of worlds. And they have Buddhas, and Buddhas are everywhere. And there are some scriptures, the Avatamsaka Sutra, which says that Buddha lands exist in a mote of dust. You know, it's like, oh, okay, I think I need to expand the way I look at things. Maybe there's more going on than I think. And that is the deep pool that the rock, the little pebble, is being tossed into. And are we the little pebble? Maybe we're the little pebble being tossed into that deep pool. Certainly our minds are the deep water too. We could put it that way. There's many ways to take things, is what I'm trying to say, and that actually, when we're still with it, it allows us to go deeper. The Dharma refuge, for example, it starts off with the teaching of the Buddhas. Well, there are some teachings that came directly from the Buddha, or at least were recorded. There are others that either came after the Buddha, or they came at a time in a different place and were too advanced, and so they waited before they were brought out. There's many ways to look at the Dharma. But the one thing you know if you start reading the Dharma is there's just tons of Dharma out there. There's tons of teaching. And the Buddha if you read the early teachings, his teaching, he was very compassionate, he was very kind, and he was very radical, because he taught men and women the same way. He taught male and female monks the same way, which is radical even today, as we know. So there is, again, we're in the deep pool, and we're floating around in the deep pool, because there's so many ways to go with this. Dogen, Dogen, who is he's the monk he was a Japanese monk, went to China in 1200s and brought meditation, Chinese Chan meditation lineage to Japan. And he said, he was talking about if you die and you're in a real confused state, he said, just recite the 3 refuges over and over again, and you'll be all right. I think that's good advice. there's the 3 jewels come to our refuge. The same thing with the Sangha refuge. It starts out, Sangha can mean the ordained Sangha, those monastics, male and female, but Sangha can mean male, female, monastic and lay trainees. But really, it's the same process. When you start expanding the concept of Sangha, what isn't a Sangha? Everything is the Sangha. Everyone's the Sangha. And there you are. You're in that deep pool again, because as we all know, as Reverend Master Daishin said in his offering, there can be this hatred going on. And how do you connect with this hatred that's going on? And how do you not hate yourself back? And that's really the training of a bodhisattva, is to act with compassion, love, and wisdom, no matter what the circumstances. So you can see the Sangha also becomes a very deep pool for us to swim around or float around in. And there's all kinds of currents moving us. And if I take the analogy of this very deep pool, and we're throwing a stone in it, we are the stone, and we have not hit the bottom yet. And we're just going through that very deep pool, and there's all kinds of things going on. And we all know this. Now, I'm going to give now I'm going to tell the story of what happened to me relative to Avalokiteshvara and about refuge, and how refuge works. And this situation is a little different, and that's all right. If I was a 5-year-old novice, so it was over 20 years ago. And I was at a hermitage on retreat. And that hermitage has a white and blue porcelain Kuan Yin statue. And, she's probably this high from the floor. So she's a good 2 feet. She was up on an altar. She's this round, beautiful porcelain statue in meditation, I believe, and eyes kind of down, turned. And from the front, she looks kind of like those Russian stacking dolls. She's kind of this teardrop-shaped body, but from the side, she's really skinny. And she has these two little helpers, 2 children that are her helpers, and they represent the princess dragon. I don't know she's the princess dragon. She was the daughter of a dragon king, and she attained enlightenment. So she's the symbol of women, and believe me, there are men that did not believe this, that women could attain enlightenment. And that's one thing the Buddha said. Absolutely, women can do it just as men, there's no problem. So she's that representation. And then the little boy is Sudana, who becomes the Bodhisattva of Samantabhadra, the Bodhisattva of practice, the Bodhisattva of love. So they are there on her altar. And 20 years ago, this will come as a shock, I know, but I had a lot of views 20 years ago. Now, I still have a lot of views, as my seniors know, but I really had a lot then, and I didn't particularly like this statue. I thought it was, I didn't like the little boys and girls. I thought it was cultural. What does it have to do with us? I'm sorry, that's very embarrassing, but that's how I thought. I thought that, okay. So Kanzeon had a real teaching for me. But anyway, a few days before I went on that retreat, I had been at a funeral for a family, for their son who had committed suicide. And I knew the parents, and so that's why I went to the funeral. But it was very sad situation, and people were quite upset. So I went out to the hermitage, and I'm all by myself, and I wake up 3 days after the funeral when I'm in the hermitage, and I pick up this horrible feeling. I wake up and there's this heaviness, this blackness. It's really dark. And I instantly felt it was from the family and that they were really suffering. And so I got up and I got dressed, put my robes on, and I went downstairs, and it's pitch black. And I went downstairs, and I lit a candle at that Kanzeon's altar. And I myself had never experienced such heavy feeling before. It was very intense. And I asked her for help. And the truth is, I begged her for help. I said, please help. I don't know what to do with this. It's too much for me. I don't know how to help these people. And will you take it? Will you help me? And she did. She took it. And that, you can believe that or not, but that was my experience. She actually, it went away. It lightened for me, and she nodded to me and took it. And of course, I was stunned because I didn't know that could happen, and I didn't almost believe it, but it was happening, and I saw it, and so, okay. And as I was, blowing out the candle, I happened to look at the little boy statue, and I got a look from him like, you see? What do you know? And I went, okay, I get it. I really get it. So why I'm telling you about that is because I feel that was a catalyst for me in many ways. It taught me, first of all, that we can get help with refuge, no matter what. Help is always there. But it also taught me that I'm a part of it. I have to learn how to help beings too. I have to help the bodhisattvas. There's this, we all do, in truth. We all have to help. And we can ask for help, but we have to offer help too. It's an exchange. When we exchange, we have harmony and benefit. But when we just want, that's not good enough. We have to do more. And so this incident really was the beginning of a shift in my mind of, number one, do not judge what you think it is different and you don't like. Don't do that. Let that go. Because anything can be of help to us. And then the other thing is that the bodhisattvas, we can think of them as just for us. I'm calling on Kanzeon all the time. But actually, we need to help. We're a part of this world, and we're a part of helping this world. And this world gets better through all of us meditating, through all of us turning towards hatred with love, in whatever way we can. So it's like, it's all on us. We're all part of it. And that to me is the deep pool of refuge, that we're not separate here. It's for all of us. So I'd like to close this talk with by sharing a passage from something called The Buddha's Law Among the Birds. Now I have to tell you, I have never found this. A monk gave a Dharma talk many years ago. I was, again, a young monk, but I was so taken by it. I asked her where it came from, and then I wrote it down. And to me, it summarizes what refuge is all about. So here it goes. It says, "Here, now, from within my heart, I vow to cease from evil, to do only good. From deep within my heart, I seek my refuge in the three treasures, ever changeless, never failing, never fading, our precious ally through the whole of time." And that is a really good way to see refuge. So thank you very much.